So, why we're here. Our objective today is to explore and understand more about the Italian space ecosystem and to uncover the potential collaboration opportunities between our nations. This webinar hopes to spark ideas and connections that can be pursued leading up to and during the International Astronautical Congress in October in Milan this year, and be continued at the following IAC in Sydney in late 2025. So today we'll hear from distinguished speakers from the Italian Trade Agency, Embassy of Italy, Italian Space Agency, and Telespazio, a Leonardo and Thales company. We'll also have contributions from the Australian Space Agency, New South Wales Government, and the Space Industry Association of Australia. So before we commence, and as everyone is joining, a few housekeeping notes. Please ensure that your microphone is on mute and your video is off for all the non-speakers. Please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We'll address them in the Q&A at the end of the session. And also please note that the webinar is going to be recorded. We're conscious that we only have an hour of your time and a lot of content to get through. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Simona Bernardini, Italian Trade Commissioner from the Italian Trade Agency, and Dr. Marco Lazzirano, Scientific Attaché from the Embassy of Italy, to provide the opening remarks. Over to you, Simona.
I would like to welcome you to this webinar jointly organized by the Italian Trade Agency, ASI, and IAA and ASA, and Investment New South Wales. Some weeks ago, Andrea Tenconi, who is the trade analyst for capital goods at the ITAS office, and I met our Australian colleagues after the Australian Space Forum, which took place in Sydney in last December, and we had the pleasure to meet them. And during that meeting, we realized that we could join our efforts in developing any collaboration in the space sector between our two industries. And ASI jumped immediately up on this project, and today here we are. So just a quick presentation on, I would like to share with you my presentation regarding what's ICE, the Italian Trade Agency. Right now. To give you some context information. So what's the Italian Trade Agency? So the Italian Trade Agency is a governmental agency which supports Italian companies in their process of establishing business relationships abroad. And also we are responsible for the attraction of foreign investment to Italy. And of course, we work closely together with ministries and stakeholders involved in this internationalization process. And we have an headquarters in Rome, and we have a worldwide network of 76 offices abroad, and we assist SMEs mostly and provide them with information, consultancy, and training. Going ahead, what's the meaning of the space economy in Italy's plans? So in 2024, Italy government is putting a very, very particular attention to the space economy because it's one of the most strategical sector. With a lot of repercussions in various industrial and applied research sectors. And we are going, as Italian government, to develop some strategic and financial and political support to all the Italian industry system in the sector. And we also would like to support all the new areas of space activities, such as the commercial exploitation of the low orbit, the security and resilience of space infrastructures, the common economy exploration, and so on. With a view to promoting our production system, Italy will support international cooperation partnerships at every stage: industrial, commercial, political, and institutional. The space partnership on the occasion of the IAC 24 and 25 is the milestone for us, for the Italian government, for any future cooperation between Italy and especially with Australia and all institutional partners involved in the project. At this point, I finished my time, and a big thanks to all the people involved in the organization of this event, and to, first of all, to all participants. And you have a list here of all the people involved, of all government and institutional side. Thank you so much for your time. And back to Jessica now, right?
Great.
Thank
yes,
you.
It's actually to Marco. Thank you, Simona.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm really happy to open this session, this bilateral conversation between Italy and Australia together with Simona. There's no need to say what the embassy is doing. What I can tell a little bit more in detail of what the science attaché, which I am, is doing. So I'm dealing with the cooperation in the scientific, in all the scientific areas. The Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has a very wide network of science attaché, and in some countries there are also specific space attaché in the US and in Europe. So my role is complementary to that of Simona. So I'm dealing with things which are more science-based, so cooperation, but you can imagine that science cooperation is always very often has some consequence also on the economical point of view. So our activities are very, very well connected. Italy in particular in space is a very, very long story. As you know, Italy's story of Italy in space started the 16th of December 1964 when the first satellite was launched, and it was launched using a US launcher, but all the other operations were designed and performed by Italian operators, and this qualified Italy as the 5th nation in order of time capable of autonomous operation in space. And since then, Italy has been deeply committed in space activities with participation with many programs in NASA and ESA missions. But all these operations, all these activities cannot be performed by an isolated country, especially countries as small as Italy, but require continuous and intense international collaboration and to exploit the scientific and technological capabilities which are offered by the different partners. And several collaborations have also been started with Australia more recently, and I think everybody in this virtual room knows about the Spirit project on the satellite that has been launched in orbit the 1st of December last year, and it set a very important milestone for Australian space industry, and actually Italy, and we are very proud to be part of this project. So this is what concerns orbit space. What's beyond that? What's next? What's next? I think it's very difficult to say because space is really a space open for opportunities. So it's very difficult to predict what will happen in the next decades. Beyond, we know, I mean, it's outer space, it's the moon, it's the solar system, it's outside the solar system. And Italy is also extremely deeply involved in many solar system programs, in the moon programs, in the Artemis project. Italy and Australia are both involved. So there is a very strong technological, industrial contribution of Italy, but also a human contribution. So Italy has also a very important, relevant contribution of astronauts. Since 1992, we had 8 astronauts flying into space, and we are the 8th nation for number of astronauts that has been in space. And in the last ESA selection, recruitment selection for astronauts, out of 17 astronauts selected, 2 were Italian, but one in particular is Megan Christian, has both Italian and Australian citizenship. So we hopefully will have in space an astronaut we share our 2 nationalities. So I would like to close my intervention thinking to we met Megan here in Canberra last winter, and I would like to close my intervention with Megan's smile in mind, which tell us that the space is the ideal playground for collaboration, and space is a place where the geographical distances between like-minded nations like us are become negligible, and science is the real place where science, space diplomacy can be implemented at its best. So I hope you enjoyed this very interesting bilateral conversation in space between our 2 nations. Thank you.
Thanks, Marco, and thanks, Simona, both for setting the scene. It's actually great to hear how committed the Italian government is in supporting the space industry and also IAC. But, you know, we're excited to deepen this relationship, but it's also amazing to see that there's a scientific attaché, and as you say, to deepen, you know, scientific cooperation between our 2 countries as well. So next up, we have Silvia Ciccarelli and Alessandra Vanille from the Italian Space Agency to provide an update, overview actually, sorry, of the Italian space industry, and then an update on IAC 2024. So over to you, Silvia.
Thank you very much, Jessica, and hello everybody. Good day, good afternoon to the friend from Australia. I'm really glad to be here today. Thank you to the Italian Embassy, to ITA Trade Agency, to Australian Space Agency, NSY, and Space Industry Association of Australia for having organized this opportunity. Today, I'm going to give you an overview of Italian space industry with the final objective of broadening space partnerships between our 2 countries, and with the coming occasion also of the IAC at the end of this year in Italy and next year in Australia. So I would like to go quickly with a very brief introduction to Italian Space Agency, which is basically the implementing agency of the strategy defined at political level by our Prime Minister, who has the high responsibility and high direction for coordination of space and aerospace policy, together with the Interministerial Committee for Space and Aerospace. And this sets and justified importance, the strategic relevance that space has in Italy, as was mentioned by our scientific attaché just before me. Talking about Italian Space Agency, we are a growing agency. Although it was created in 1988, we are continuously growing. We are now about 430 people, but we plan to be 600 in a couple of years. Our main location is in Rome, the headquarters. We have also a location in south of Italy in Matera, launch a space center in Malindi in Kenya, and also in Sardinia, an island of Italy, for Sardinia Deep Space Antenna. Basically, ASI activities are implemented through 3 main channels. Our basic programs are implemented through European Space Agency and also European Union space programs. We are founding members, and a lot of our budget goes to ESA and also with the European Union activities. On top of that, Italian Space Agency has a very wide network of bilateral relationships with similar agencies all around the world. Here you can see a short number of these agencies, among which, of course, we have the Australian Space Agency, and we will go more in detail later during this presentation. I would like like to mention that we also operate at a multilateral level. Of course, the ISS and the Artemis program are among the most important one at present. We do have also national activities through national funds and also through the utilization of EU recovery funds devoted to space. This is an overview of the bilateral agreements that the Italian Space Agency has all around the world. And as you can see, we can say that IAC has a very much open and very much international footprint. So I would like to give you now an overview of Italian space industry. And what is important, what I would like to highlight is that international cooperation is in the institutional mission of Italian Space Agency. Together with industrial competitiveness, and they are strictly connected. We are convinced that international partnerships and international cooperation can strengthen industrial competitiveness for all the value chain, large, small, and medium companies, including startups. For this reason, we are actively engaged in stimulating international cooperation, as we are doing exactly today. And we can say that economic diplomacy, it's a way also to leverage all the competencies and know-how that our industry gained thanks to institutional investments made by Italian Space Agency, Italian government, Italian institutions. In this slide, you can see an overview of the tools through which IAC supports internationalization of Italian space industry. Of course, ITA Trade Agency is one of our partners in this engagement. We have a formal agreement with the ITA Trade Agency, and we arrange a lot of common initiatives all around the world, including in Australia. I personally am engaged in system missions, outgoing and incoming. And this means that we arrange industrial delegations, especially in countries where we have specific agreements. In 2019, we had a trade mission also to Australia. And of course, we are open to receive a delegation from Australia to Italy. This year could be a very good occasion. I personally coordinated the Italian industry industrial catalog online, which is indicated here, where you can have an overview of all the competencies of Italian space companies. It's a very useful tool to go through the capabilities of national industry. We do have also acceleration programs specifically devoted to startups and small and medium companies. And we have also multilateral initiatives. I would like to mention here the G20 Space Economy Leaders. During the Italian presidency in 2021, we launched the industrial session on top of the Space Agency sessions. Our industrial community is made up of around 300 companies located all over Italian territory and collaborating together with more than 70 among industry, research center and departments of universities located in Italy all over the territory. I would like to mention that IAC collaborates with the three national industrial associations, IAD, IPAS and ASAS. We also have 15 technology clusters with aerospace specialization located all over Italy. We have 5 business incubation centers, stimulating the growth of new companies in space. And also the Italian Space Agency has shares in 3 companies. IGEOS specialized in Earth observation and value-added applications in Earth observation. Altec specialized in operations, training, logistics, and for space exploration. And Space Lab is more devoted to access to space. In this map, you can see the distribution of the Italian space industry in orange. And you can see that it is located quite all over the Italian territory. As it is, we have a very long heritage in this industrial act, in this specific domain of space, and in many cases it's somehow connected to competencies coming from universities. So although it is located all over the territory, we can identify some clusters of concentration of this presence, especially around Rome, Turin, Milan, Naples, and also in south of Italy in Bari. As I mentioned at the beginning, Italian Space Agency is a very open and internationally oriented agency, and consequently also our industry has a very strong international footprint. They have commercial and commercial relationships really all over the world, including in Australia, as you can see also on the map on the bottom left, identifying the number of extra-European locations of Italian space industry. In this slide, you can see the distribution in terms of dimension, companies' dimension. Our industry is made up of a large number of and a wide variety of small and medium companies, but we do have also quite a good representation of large companies. Of course, today we have also Leonardo that is going to make a presentation and is one of is the main player, I would say, at national level, covering and with the participation in the most important large companies, space companies in Italy. So we do have a large community of small and medium companies and a growing community of startups. This community of startups is growing also thanks to this active policy of stimulation through the business incubation centers that are located in different areas of Italy, as you can see on the right side of the slide. Our space companies cover all the space value chain, so we are traditionally very much specialized in upstream activities. We have large system integrators able to integrate large platforms and to have a prime ship contract in complex space missions. But we do have also a lot of space companies very much active in services and applications derived from space data and information. And also we have a large community of companies engaged at the same time in the so-called upstream and downstream activities. We can say that this distinction between upstream and downstream in the Italian space industry is becoming less relevant. This is an overview of the initiatives made at different points for sustaining space entrepreneurship. I'm not going into detail in this, but we start from financing technology development through commercialization and finally through analyzing the impacts of the investments made in space. This is a quick overview of the universities with the specialization in space. As you can see, they are located all over Italy. And this is an overview of the main research centers with activities in space with which Italian Space Agency has a strong relationships. I would like to say now that Italian space industry, thanks also to institutional investments made by the agency, are very much active in all the space domains. With some peaks of excellence, specifically in Earth observation, in space exploration, in access to space, and so on. And I would like to spend my the final part of my presentation talking about the relationships between ASI in particular.
Silvia?
And yes,
Silvia, can I just interrupt? So sorry, but we do have to hurry along. So can I give you the quick? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to finish. I would like just
Yes.
to mention that. Can you see my no? Okay, I wanted to mention that Italian Space Agency and Australian Space Agency signed an MOU in 2019. So we do have a formal agreement together. We have several initiatives together. Let me mention that we are going to install a fly-eye telescope in Australia. And I would like to mention that thanks to the support of ITA Trade Agency, we are a silver sponsor of Australian Space Forum. We are also engaged with the SmartSat CRC. And as mentioned by our scientific attaché before, I would like to mention the very successful collaboration in Spirit CubeSat, very recently launched in December 2023. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I hand over to Alessandra.
Yes, thank you so much, Silvia. Alessandra, sorry to hurry you along, but we'll have to make pace.
Okay. So thank you very much for having us. Again, I will be very brief in show you a little bit the opportunities, partnership opportunities for IAC 2025. We mentioned it already. This year, the International Astronautical Congress will take place in Milan, which is one of the biggest. Actually, IAC is one of the biggest event of the for the space sector. This year, of course, we will try to showcase a little bit the Italian space sector, but also we look forward actually to welcome you, for instance, but also many others actors from all over the world. This is already like a very, let's say, record-breaking event. We received, I think, about 7,000 abstracts so far, and we expect actually more than 10,000 participants. So it's a very big occasion also for the attendees today. Every year there is a different topic associated with the overall event, and for this year is responsible space for sustainability. So looking at sustainability for the future, so for future generation, preserving space for the future generation, but also the sense and the importance of sustainability in space, but on Earth as well. This is a very quick overview, very congested program of the IAC that starts officially on the 14th of October and will last until the 18th of October. But there are actually some side events between the 10th and the 13th, like the Space Generation Congress or the United Nations IAF workshop and the Members of Parliament meeting. In particular, I think it's very relevant for you, the IAC Industry Day. So every day is associated with a specific theme. The theme for the 15th of October, so write it down in your agenda, is the IAC Industry Day. So there will be multiple initiatives like the breakfast or the industry luncheon or the industry awards ceremony. There are also some social program and technical drills associated. You can check it on the IAC website. And stay updated there as well, also for the program. There are like opportunities of joining the exhibition space, but also to participate or sponsor the event. There are two opportunities, so sponsorship packages or a la carte sponsorship. So in the case of the sponsorship packages, there is the anchor, for the anchor sponsors, the opportunity of have a tailor-made package. Otherwise, you have the different, let's say, platinum, gold, silver, and bronze options. When it comes to a la carte sponsorship opportunities, there is a little bit more, let's say, flexibility. You can decide where it's more, let's say, what fits more actually with your strategy and with your also purpose of visiting and participating to the IAC. But in general, you can find all this information on the Congress website. And you can also get in touch with the IDA, which is the Italian Association for Aeronautics and Astronautics, that is hosting the event this year and is managing the opportunities. And we maybe can be, let's say, available in sharing with you their contact. But in general, check the website to discover a little bit the program and the different other options, opportunity options, but also visit options that you can have if you come to Milan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra. And yeah, thanks, Sylvia, for the snapshot of the opportunities of where we can collaborate. That was honestly a great overview. And also good to know that there is an Italian space industry catalogue as well, because that's the first time that I heard about it. And yeah, Alexandra, I'm sure that everyone's packing their bags for Milan. So I'll just throw now to Giancarlo Pensabeni, Head of International Development from Telespazio. Sorry, Giancarlo, we'll just have to keep it quick because we'll like to have some opportunity for Q&A, but over to you. Thank you.
Yes. Are you visualizing the presentation?
We are.
Okay, yes. So good morning to everybody. My name is Giancarlo Pensabene. I'm in Telespazio, that is work at Telespazio Marketing and Sales. Telespazio is a company controlled by Leonardo, 67% Leonardo, 33% Thales. And actually, as Silvia was mentioning before, we participate in GEOS that is controlled by Telespazio, 80%, and 20% by the Italian Space Agency. We cover, the entire space value chain. As my previous colleagues mentioned before, Marco Lazzarino and Silvia after, this is beneficial for the entire community across the world, of the legacy of Italy as a country, not only by the institutional standpoint, but by the, the industrial standpoint, because we support mission definition, from mission definition to manufacturing satellites, either with the radar or optical capability. We are, we provision services in the downstream, and specifically with Telespazio, we are involved in the geoinformation, satellite communication, space operations, and the digital ground segment. I'm going to, pinpoint some of the key projects. This is, excuse me, just okay. Just in a nutshell, just a quick word about the exploration. We are part of the ongoing scientific projects for the so-called Moonlight, enabling the future lunar economy, and this we support the European Space Agency. And this is something that, see Italy as a country, legacy to be involved in these near future activities. We are a part of this European project that is the Galileo, that is the alternative to the American GPS, and we have all our main activities at Fucino Teleport and the back office in Germany. And then, of course, the space domain awareness, so space traffic management for the debris. So this is another important activities for in-orbit services. It's not only services from ground, but also services between and among satellites in orbit. We have a worldwide footprint, and this is just a quick overview. Our teleports that are located across Italy and in South America, but the main one is the Fucino Space Center. This is the biggest civil teleport in the world, and we host, as I said before, the Galileo project, and then of course all the telemetry. So here comprises the activities that anytime we launch a satellite, we will support with the telemetry to position the satellite in the right proper orbit. I want to just draw the attention of everybody, that we are involved, with the multilateral projects with banks such as the World Bank, African Development Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, Asian Development Bank. With this regard, specifically with our control company, GEOS, we are fully involved in sustainable development. So land, crop monitoring, forest, climate change. This is extremely important nowadays. So not only the provisioning of the services for a company in the oil and gas for the private sectors, but our goal is to support the community across the world, to give some beneficial activities to day-by-day life. This is, for example, land management. We have been awarded a project from World Bank, to support Nigeria, to create a nationwide register of buildings and parcels. This is from satellite, and that's extremely important. This is a project, water management, that was funded by the German Federal Ministry of Education, again, for countries such as Sudan, Brazil, Ecuador, and West Africa. So again, as Silvia was mentioning before, we provide services from the upstream to the downstream, and then the goal is working with those banks I mentioned before to support day-by-day life. Water management is a good example. But again, climate change, this is a project financed by the European Space Agency, to mitigate the impact of the climate change. And this is, for example, mining that is extremely interesting for some countries in Africa. I want to just show you a project that is extremely important for agriculture, the so-called smart agriculture. Again, there are countries across Asia, Africa, South America, but even in Europe and maybe in Australia as well, that they may need, the satellite technology as an enabler, to monitor, the crops, or to monitor, the day-by-day farmers' activities. This is the goal is to pinpoint these projects because we may cooperate with Australian organizations, not only in the upstream, but also in the downstream, because this is a part of our legacy, that we're going to bring, in this occasion. I want to just bring to your attention of this GEOS Santa Lucia project. Santa Lucia is a little island in the Caribbean. The project has been financed by the Italian Ministry for the Environment. Due to the climate change, the planet, our planet, is it by climate change aggressiveness, I would say, and then, with our capability, we support the, an infrastructure in the Caribbean, in the Santa Lucia little islands, to provide, the local authorities a data fusion infrastructure to mitigate the aggressiveness of climate change. This, is a good example at the government level, is a good, let's say, combination of the Italian support, in terms of by institutional standpoint and industrial standpoint, to support the countries across the world. Again, this is a good example for Australian partners, Australian companies, eventually to cooperate with us, to intercept opportunities in the Australian or Asian continent. Another extremely important project was Cuba. Same thing, same approach. This has been funded by United Nations. just very quickly, that we are in the Copernicus project. So we support civil protection, humanitarian aid operators across the world, with the multi-temporal and multi-series information in case of earthquake, in case of any disaster, caused by natural disaster or caused by wars or by, the human being. We, in the aftermath of any event, we can provide information before the event, during the event, in the aftermath of the event. This is something that eventually we may, let's say, touch later with whoever is interested to, to cooperate with us. This is part of our legacy. Just a quick word of urban planning. We work in, with the European Space Agency, for African countries, to try to direct to them to use, the resources in a better way. I mentioned the water management, agriculture. So this is today is a key problem, in emerging countries. So again, we work with the multilateral banks, and again, is an opportunity to cooperate with Australian institutions. So I just ask Andrea if we want to just run the video. If
I might, yes. Thanks,
Yes.
Giancarlo. I might jump in. We might actually share your video by
Yes.
link to the email to participants just to save time. But yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much. That was a great overview, and it is really amazing to see how space actually benefits so much of our lives and solves so many challenging problems and helping to address a sustainable planet. I'm sure there's lots of Australians here that are eager to talk to you, and personally, I look forward to hosting you and your team in Sydney in 2025. So
Okay.
that's a wrap up.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's a wrap up. No worries. That's a wrap up of our Italian speakers for this evening. But and also just a quick reminder, because there's no questions in the chat, so get your fingers typing for any questions, because even if we can't address them today, noting time, we will compile them and then ask the speakers to review the questions. So definitely put the questions in the chat. Now that we have 15 minutes less to speak about the Australian ecosystem, we'll make sure the Australian speakers keep it tight. And I'll invite Dr. Tony Robinson, from Director International Partnerships from ASA, to provide an overview, and followed by Maroon El-Khoury, Executive Director, Industry and Investment from New South Wales Government, to provide a state's perspective. Over to you, Tony.
Thanks, Jess. I will keep it quick. So Australia has been active in space for a while, but unlike the Italian Space Agency, we are very young. So the Australian Space Agency is just over 5 years old. So today I'm going to give you an overview of recent developments in Australia since the Space Agency was founded, and hopefully this will give you a sense of Australia's priority areas for collaboration. So just a quick stats. So the Australian Space Agency is headquartered in Adelaide. We also have a major office in Canberra, and we are comparatively small. We've got a headcount of only around 100, but to use an Australian expression, we punch above our weight. So in terms of our sector and what's happened in the last 5 years since we've been around, we're very much transitioning from startup mode to scale-up mode. And some examples of some key achievements in the 5 years of our existence include things like we've successfully implemented our Space Launches and Returns Act, which is the key piece of legislation that regulates space activities. We've delivered a number of targeted grant funding programs, which are targeted at industry growth and also have a focus on alignment with key international partners. We've developed key agreements with international partners, including an MOU with Italy, which Sylvia mentioned. And we've also strengthened capabilities in traditional areas such as comms and ground stations, but also looking to emerging areas such as space situational awareness. So on the slide are some good examples of where Australian government funding has been used to provide industry with support needed to develop some of their key technologies. So as part of that scale up, we're we're advancing Australia's spaceflight heritage. So what I mean by that is we're maturing and climbing up the TRL ladder. So on the slide, you can see some really good recent examples of Australian companies that have launched major satellites into space. So Optimus, the space machine satellite, was Australia's largest satellite ever launched, and which occurred only a month or so ago. The Spirit satellite, which has been mentioned by Marco and Sylvia, we're certainly very proud of this joint achievement. So it was led by the University of Melbourne, but it hosted a key Italian Space Agency scientific payload, which is the first time an international partner has hosted a scientific payload or a payload of any kind on an Australian satellite. So quite a big achievement for us, and was also supported with Australian government funding. Also looking ahead, our homegrown Australian company, Gilmore Space, is looking to launch sometime this year, which will make them, hopefully, fingers crossed, the first Australian company to have an orbital launch of a rocket, which will be a fantastic achievement. Closer to home, whoops, I skipped the slide. We're also embarking on what we're calling our greatest adventure yet. This is the development of a lunar rover, which we have affectionately named Rover, based on a public naming competition. So we're aiming to put Australia's first rover on the moon. Currently, we've selected two industry-based consortia to design that rover, and then later this year we will select one of those consortia to take forward their successful design. This is in partnership with NASA, who've graciously offered a ride share for our rover to the moon in the coming years. We also are very proud of our research sector, which has been going strong for a number of years with lots of key space clusters and centres of excellence. One of the key achievements, I guess, relevant to this audience, which has been mentioned by Sylvia, is a partnership between the Australian National University and the Italian Space Agency on the FlyEye telescope, which will be hosted in Coonabarabran, New South Wales. So that's a great example of our research sector partnering with Italian space sector. Looking forward to the future, we're going to be hosting two of the world's biggest space events. I won't talk too much about IAC 2025, that's been covered, but nevertheless, we are absolutely very excited to be hosting that event, and along with other Australian and Italian partners on the call. Something I guess a little bit less well known is we'll be hosting APRSAF, which is the Asia Pacific Regional Space Agencies Forum, here in Perth at the end of this year from November 26 to 29. So while it's not quite on the same scale as IAC, it's a major international conference. Typically, it's been quite a regional focus, but we're really looking to throw it open to a wider audience and a wider community. So we certainly do invite Italian and European partners to come to Australia this year, maybe get a bit of a taste of Australia before you head back to Sydney in 2025. So we're building it as quite a collaborative, inclusive event that will cover also adjacent technology sectors such as quantum, AI, and advanced manufacturing. We're also proud to have our first Australian astronaut candidate. So what I mean by this is Catherine Bennell-Pegg, who was formerly or currently still is an Australian Space Agency staff, is the first Australian astronaut candidate to train under our flag, under our Australian flag. So this is a fantastic achievement. And in April, when Catherine graduates, she'll be a fully qualified astronaut and certainly has inspired a lot of young Australians, particularly women, to follow, career paths in STEM. Lastly, I just wanted to give you a sense of some of our competitive and comparative advantages as a country. Some of these won't be a surprise to you in terms of our unique geography, unique views of the sky, and also just to re-emphasize, we're a growing and emerging nation, and we've got a lot of emerging capabilities that are spread around the country strategically to support different activities. And one of those focuses for us going forward will certainly be launch. So we're really positioning Australia as a global launch and returns hub. So we really see a future as Australia hosting rockets and returning satellites and spacecraft from nations across the world. A key feature of this would have been the recently signed technology safeguards agreement with the US, which will really open up our space sector and grow the capability. Thanks. I'll leave it there, Jess, and I'll pass over to Maroon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It's truly wonderful to be with you today. Can I also just extend my appreciation to our partners in Australia, our friends in Italy, for bringing this initiative together, and to everyone online, thank you for joining us. As introduced, my name is Maroon El-Khoury, and I'm the Executive Director for Industry and Investment at Investment New South Wales. For those unfamiliar with Investment New South Wales, we are the investment promotion agency within the New South Wales Government, and I have the privilege of leading a team of specialists who provide industry with a central point of contact, bringing together the economic development and investment attraction activities that really help make New South Wales a desirable place to live, to learn, to work, of course, to invest and to do business. Let's begin with a little bit of an overview of New South Wales. Now, New South Wales represents Australia's largest economy with gross state product estimated at over $600 billion. And that represents a third of the country's GDP. If we were a city-state like Singapore or Hong Kong, New South Wales would be among the region's 10 largest economies and in the world's top 40. We proudly celebrate world-leading research capabilities within New South Wales, and we are home to 11 universities, including 6 universities in the QS Top 300 World University Rankings. Over a third of Australian university departments that are active in the space sector are based here in New South Wales, and that just recognises the significance of the space industry across our academic institutions. Now, we know the importance of having access to a skilled workforce, and New South Wales leads the nation, accounting for 31% of Australia's available workforce. And importantly, among that workforce, more than 2/3 hold a minimum bachelor's degree. Multinationals across the globe have recognised New South Wales' leadership across all key indicators, and we're proud to have over 600 global companies in our state. And these are across all key sectors, including financial services, insurance, technology, health, and defence, all of whom rely on space in one way or another. And if we peer through the lens of the space ecosystem, 40% of Australia's space businesses call New South Wales home. Our state has become a crucible of space activity, fostering a unique ecosystem where academics, entrepreneurs, and visionaries converge to redefine the boundaries of the possible. Put simply, there's actually no coincidence that we are a hub for space industry development. With over 30% of Australia's space industry workforce residing here in New South Wales, we have entrepreneurs designing rovers and robots, leaders of manufacturing electronics and edge computers, and trailblazers tracking the ever-growing number of things circling our globe. And I'm proud to confirm the New South Wales Government's commitment to the space sector is unwavering. The government has strategically invested in initiatives and programs laying a robust foundation for space-related activities. Now, some of you may have built your business at our National Space Industry Hub, received funding from our Space Research Network and the New South Wales node of the SmartSat CRC, or perhaps hitching a ride to space on the Waratah Sea rideshare mission. As you may know, we're also the co-hosts of IAC 2025, and we're working with SEA and ASA and the ASA to deliver an outstanding congress, which Lisa will share with you shortly. Now, we have a dedicated team here in New South Wales to accelerate the growth of your organisations and can leverage a global network of trade commissioners to help you enter in international supply chains. So as I wrap up, it's truly exciting to see the opportunities and synergies between Australia and the Italian space ecosystems. We eagerly anticipate the outcomes of the partnerships and collaborative ventures that will stem from IAC 2024 in the beautiful city of Milan and deepened at IAC 2025 in my wonderful home city of Sydney. To our Australian audience, I encourage you to reach out and connect with our team. You've got Jess here who's joined us, who's our dedicated IAC lead, as we try and support your business and attendance at IAC 2024 in Milan. To our Italian counterparts, again, I extend a warm welcome. I look forward to hosting you here in Sydney next year. Grazie mille.
Thank you so much, Maroon. Okay, I'll quickly hand over the baton to Lisa Vitaris to wrap us out with all the exciting updates for IAC 25.
Thanks so much, Jess. So if you haven't gathered by now, the 76th International Astronautical Congress is from the 29th of September to the 3rd of October in 2025 in Sydney, Australia. The Space Industry Association, SIA, is the host of IAC Sydney 2025, and Investment New South Wales and the Australian Space Agency are our co-hosts. So SIA is the peak body for Australia's space industry, and we represent over 70 member companies actively involved in advancing our nation's space capabilities and economy. Our primary focus lies in fostering collaboration amongst government, academia, and industry to drive innovation and growth within the sector. This will actually be the third time that Australia has hosted the IAC, with previous events held in Melbourne back in 1998 and more recently in Adelaide in 2017. So we look forward to hosting again. Australia has over 600 organisations operating in the space sector, and our space capability really does span the entire space supply chain from end to end. So at IAC Sydney 2025, we plan to highlight the capability of Australia's end-to-end space supply chain, and we really encourage partnerships and meaningful connections. So following today's webinar, and thank you to Simona and all of the team for collaborating and organising this, we hope to encourage some initial discussions between Italian and Australian companies. And then, as Simona said, our journey continues with our presence at IAC Milan 2024, including, as Sylvia, I think you alluded to, a delegation of Australian companies, which SIA will lead. And we really hope to announce some more exciting information about that soon. And then that will lead into IAC 2025, where we really encourage an Italian delegation to come and join us in Australia. So the theme for IAC Sydney 2025 is Sustainable Space, Resilient Earth. Evidently, the sustainability theme, very important. And this will set the stage for important discussions such as space-based application for Earth, sustainable space activities, and sustaining life off Earth. And IAC 2025 aims to advance space in the Indo-Pacific as well by showcasing the entire region, not just Australia, and its wide variety of space-based opportunities. And similar to what Giancarlo and Maroon have mentioned, our event will broaden the influence and relevance of space to adjacent industries, including emergency services, health, utilities, telecommunications, resources, manufacturing, finance, construction, agriculture, and smart cities. So it'll delve into why space is critical for both businesses and our everyday lives. And whilst the event is in Sydney, you'll be able to enjoy technical site visits all across Australia, showcasing the best of what our industry has to offer, coupled with some incredible tourism experiences. So not enough time to go into that now, but safe enough to say that it'll leave you with many memories that will last a lifetime. So please bring your family, your friends, your colleagues. There's a website which we are trying to launch as of next week, so please look out for it, iac2025.org. And more information will be on there soon. So I'll hand back to you, Jess, because I know we're at time, but really looking forward to hosting everybody.
Thanks, Lisa, so much. Yes, we are at time. There is one question, so we might just quickly address it, but let's try and address it quickly. And if we need to take it on, we can provide further details. But this might be directed to the Italian Space Agency and also the Australian Space Agency. Someone from the participants has asked about internship opportunities and exchanges between Australia in the future. Is there anything like this on the horizon? Tony, maybe throw to you first, and then Sylvia, maybe follow up with you.
Great question. It's something certainly we would love to explore. We've had similar opportunities with other partner countries, so I don't see why not with Italy as well.
Yes, I agree with Tony. First of all, it's completely consistent with the framework of the memorandum between the two agencies. Also, the exchange of people. We have also to see if there is any formal agreement at the level of universities, depending on where these students or these young people are coming, we can investigate also formal agreement at the level of universities. But I do have people at the space agency specifically devoted to that, so I'm happy to help in this sense and to be in touch.
Great. Now, that's a really good question. And it seems as though it sparked a conversation between our two agencies, which I'm really grateful for. So, look, that's a wrap up and all we have time for today. Thank you so much for everyone's participation and joining us in the webinar. We hope you found the presentations valuable, and I'm sure that, you know, we look forward to seeing you at IAC 24 in Milan and also at IAC 2025 in Sydney to continue the conversations. An email will be sent out with the details of the Australian IAC 2025 Local Organising Committee and also our website. And from that, please direct any questions that you have for all of our speakers. So, grazie and ciao.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.